Africa Prime, brought to you by Jameson's Select Reserve.
Now, while South Africa achieved democratic nationhood in 1994, its business community has sought and failed several times to find common ground on issues dictated by the country's political past, divergent interests, and accusations of racial discrimination and failure to give blacks a voice. Recently, black business representatives broke away from Business Unity South Africa and revived the Black Business Council, which was dissolved when Business Unity South Africa was formed in October 2003. We now talk to business leader and spokesperson for the Black Business Council, Sandile Zungu. Sandile, thanks for coming through.
Thank you.
Let's hit the nail on the head. Do we need racially divided business blocks?
We don't need racially divided business blocks. And I must state categorically that the Black Business Council doesn't see itself as part of that construct. But what we do need to recognize is that what we inherited from the past is a deeply divided society, which is at pains to try and redress, among others, the historical economic imbalances. And that will require innovation in terms of how you organize yourself to deal with those challenges.
Yeah, but when you establish an organization like the Black Business Council, it suggests that its identification is based on a racial grouping, if you like. It suggests also that black business people are like a homogeneous lot.
Not at all. I think those assumptions are not necessarily correct. Yes, it does suggest that we have got a common past. We're all lock, stock and barrel, discriminated on the basis of our color. And lock, stock and barrel, we are denied opportunities on the basis of color.
Right.
Yes, we are attempting to build a united society. I think we respect our constitution. We respect the global interests of South African people to build a non-racial society. Yes, it's very difficult when you believe that your accent to the apex that we so desire is continuously blocked again through the legacies of the past and again on the basis of your color. So this is not our negative response. It's an attempt on the constructive side to try and redress and to resolve those issues which are hampering us, but at the same time saying we are, our eyes are focused on that boy, which is about a non-racial society.
Are the issues surmountable?
They are surmountable, absolutely. I think the goodwill among ourselves as members of the Black Business Council, and I believe even among those who are stuck to the Busa idea, is good. So this is not a personal issue. We just need to sit around the table and basically draw to their attention issues that really make it very difficult to work constructively together. Yeah,
we're going to discuss those issues, but I just wanted to raise the point that some people raise here, that by actually standing up and defining the BBC as an organization that is standing for black interests, in part, you're making it more difficult to resolve the issues that divide business along racial lines.
I think what is the alternative? The alternative is to pretend.
To work inside?
No, well, we will work in cooperation. We'll possibly work inside Busa if some of the issues that we're going to put on the table find resonance with people on the other side, and they're prepared to accept and deal with them. So we'll naturally work within Busa. Remember, Busa is our baby. We formed it in 2003, and therefore we cannot dissociate ourselves as if it's a stepchild. It's still a child. We own up to it. Right. But it's run away from us. And I think we need to work very hard to bring it back to life.
Would you characterize the current divisions as a power struggle?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a power struggle. I really don't subscribe to the notion that on the other side are people with very bad intentions, are people who are really trying to ascend to the pole at all costs and by all means necessary. I don't think so. I think we're all of us, a victim of a dirty past called apartheid, which actually makes us blind to the demands and the needs of people on the other side.
Yeah. Would you go so far as to say they are trying to destroy black businesses?
I don't think they
are not trying to.
They're not trying to. They're not trying to, but certainly they're not doing enough to uplift the interests of black people in business.
Okay.
Absolutely, I can say that without any sense of equivocation.
Okay.
Because if that was so, then the transformative agenda, issues of transforming the economy, ensuring that the ownership of the economy it represents at best the demographics of the country,
right,
the management of the economy, they will be just as enthusiastic as when dealing with issues of competitiveness and growing the economy, okay, and dealing with issues of corruption, which obviously all of us, even in black business, are deeply worried about.
Okay, so let's talk about the issues that are dividing the two blocks here. What would you say are the main issues? Let's say here that these are the issues that would be a minimum for the BBC to get back into BUSA.
Well, I think, again, it's not that they've blocked it.
Sure.
What we have realized in the last couple of weeks that we've worked together as black business very closely is that we must have this direct line of sight with our social partners,
sure,
whether it's government or labor, and therefore we'll want to have a direct representation in NEDLAC. To rely solely on BUSA as a sole and authentic representative of business at such a forum, multi-party forum like NEDLAC, is very short-sighted on the side of black business. And so we must have a direct line of sight. Obviously, we can't force ourselves onto it. We'll have to negotiate with BUSA because at the moment they are the incumbents who owns 6 seats.
Sure.
And so we'll have to say to them, we request that even if we find each other or even if we don't find each other, give us half of those seats.
Okay.
That's one of the issues. The second one is, when BUSA was founded in 2003, there was an understanding of equity. There was it was taken for granted that black people and white people, in terms of their organizational representation, were equal.
Right.
But the fact is, 8 years later, you now have about 14 organizations which can be defined as black organizations, ranging from FABCOS to organizations in the agricultural sector to professional organizations, versus more than triple that number who can be defined as white organizations and who are not solely but largely focus on the interests of what one would call white business.
Sure.
That arrangement defies equity. So we've got to find a decision and representation structure that will actually restore that to an equitable balance. Sure. It talks to the Constitution, that maybe we need to look at the Constitution, how decisions get taken such that where we feel we are shortchanged, we will not feel shortchanged going forward through constitutional amendments.
Right.
The third issue relates to governance. There have been instances in the past which I'll not want to go into specifics,
sure,
but which have put business in an entirely invidious position. But some of those utterances will have been made by BUSA in our name,
right,
when black business clearly don't agree with them. And then we obviously like government, we work with government, we differ with it, and we'll differ very vigorously and defend our space if needs be. But our belief is that there must always be decorum,
sure,
in terms of how we engage with our partners. Let's differ with them, but with a lot of decency.
Okay.
And I think such issues have been breached in the past, and with impunity, I must say. And therefore, the issue of governance of an organization, which is an apex organization, needs to be put into sharp focus. Because if there could be no way found to ensure that breaches of the past don't reoccur, then I think we'll have a serious problem.
Right.
And I will say, broadly speaking, those are some of the issues. I mean, there are many others, but we have maintained a posture that says we'll not negotiate with BUSA through the public media platform. Yeah.
So clearly what you're saying here, what you require out of BUSA are deep structural reforms that address all the issues that you raise. And you're suggesting in part that BUSA, because of the large representation that it has become unwieldy and unrepresentative.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that BUSA will argue that it is representative, because it's got black business interests, it's got white business interests, it's got large business interests, it's got SMME interests. It comes across as representing all sectors and industries in the economy. Voila, that's wonderful. But the fact of the matter is that the black component, which is a very important component within BUSA, feels increasingly marginalized, increasingly ignored and left out. And it cannot say this mirror called BUSA represents it as well.
Yeah. Are there black business interests and white business interests, or business interests are business interests?
Business interests are business interests. That's a laissez-faire view of economic world.
Sure.
But in South Africa, there are issues that talk to inclusivity. And those issues will touch us as black business a lot more than they will touch white business. Take, for example, the issue of poverty. When we talk about poverty, we're not talking in abstract terms about people we see on TV. We talk about our own cousins and nephews and aunts. So we like to see the economy talking to the interests of those poor people. When we talk about inequality, we talk about inequality and in terms of access to opportunities, and that affects our young black graduates who will come from University of Cape Town with the same degree as their white counterpart, but who will battle for 6 months to even be given an opportunity to do an interview that is successful. By that time, their white counterpart is already 6 months into the job. So inequalities in terms of access to opportunities affect us directly. We can't romanticize about them. And so we would like to see business which takes those issues of inclusivity and put them at the center and say they affect them. They can be as passionate about them as they are passionate about saying South Africa must be competitive, labor flexibility, global competitiveness, and so on and so forth. Again, which we are not oblivious to. We support those stances, but we're saying there must be balance.
I think what you're suggesting...
The very important point as well is the issue of unemployment. You know, we have seen growth. We've seen people making serious rewards from the growth in the economy, but the economy was not creating jobs. And government has had to come to the party with the expanded national public works programs. I believe, and we at Black Business believe that maybe the private sector has not come to the party as well, as much as it should have. And so we are saying that an agenda for business must talk to growth, which must be accelerated. It must be a higher growth, but it must talk to these issues of inclusivity, because they are real issues. If we don't, I think our future is very bleak indeed.
Absolutely. Sandile Zungu, Chairman of Zungu Investment Company and a spokesperson for the Black Business Council. We have to continue that conversation. We're having a very frank conversation here with Black Business Council, and we'll continue that conversation in the second half when we try to link what Sandile experiences as a black business person as well as the tie-up with the Black Business Council. Please stay with us after the break.